will see if you scroll back on my Instagram to last year where I made a spread using the cards and created prompts. So there's two ways that you can do this. You could focus on one chakra. So here we're going to focus on the heart chakra. So I'm just going to pull random cards, and this is going to give me a little spread to focus on the heart chakra. So you might have done the first reading and found that the area of focus to work with needs to be the heart chakra. And so you want to do a spread on it. So this is going to give you some prompts. So we have, I love, but I can be codependent. And so our spread prompt for that might be, how can I work on being less codependent in my relationships? And there's your prompt for your spread. I love, but I can be unforgiving. So your prompt might be, how can I bring in more forgiveness into my relationships? I love with respect. I might ask a card like, or how can I receive respect back to me? And then the last prompt is I love. And so I might ask, how can I continue to bring love into other areas of my life? Here we can see we have, interesting. So here we can see, I love, but I can be codependent. So with our question of how can I be less codependent in my relationships is to really get comfortable in being alone. And maybe the reason for that codependency is an avoidance of really getting inside your own psyche and really digging deep. There might be a little bit of avoidance there. And then we have I love, but I can be unforgiving. Maybe understanding that forgiveness can be a gift to yourself, and then actually forgiveness and love can leave you with all the spoils, and you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. And how can I liked this question of like, how can I receive more respect in my relationships? And this feels like maybe what you're looking for is an acknowledgement of someone taking an interest in what you are planning and what you're doing and your next steps. And I love, how can I bring love in other areas of my life? Would say to you with the 5 of Cups is to look for area of your life where you are seeing the glass half full. Your focus is on what you've lost instead of what you have. So that's just a little example. When I was looking at the energy of mouse, and I wanted to tap into that. So I pulled out specific cards for the energy that I'm looking for. So when I was looking at mouse, there was fear, hyperactivity, feeling anxious, and there was this underlying element. The mouse personality was kind of not expressing everything that's going on internally. So I pulled out these cards to kind of focus on that energy, a reading using that, the shadow elements of mouse here, and how to work with that energy and move it into another direction. I want to talk about a couple ways that you can use the Feel Your Chakra with tarot in a relationship reading. Do a 3-card reading, and we're going to do a card to represent person A, a card to represent person B, and a card to represent the relationship dynamics overall, like what's really happening. And then we'll pull a Feel your chakras card for each position. So let's say in this reading that these two people are having some kind of conflict, and we want to figure out what's actually going on in the relationship. So if we look at where person A is, we can see that they're in a place of fulfillment in their life. They're feeling good. They feel like they've got it all. And they're feeling completely grounded. So let's look at person B. See, they are also in a very similar place. They're in a place of growth, independence, but it feels like they are feeling quite isolated. So just looking at this, we can see that the issue is perhaps more from person B. This is probably the person that's coming for the reading, because they're spotting the problem, and maybe person A is like, I think everything's like going fine. Like we're doing great. Everything's fine. And the other one's like, we're not spending enough time together. We're both doing our own thing, but I want to do it together. So then we can figure out what is maybe actually going on in the relationship. So, okay. So it feels like the relationship is going really well. Like everything is going great, but there seems to be, maybe what I would be getting from this is there's not enough clarity on where the roles in the relationship are, like where everybody fits in. Things are just unclear. So then we can expand on that and maybe look at pulling another card in like the way forward to clear things up. So now we know maybe where the problems lie. Let's try and find a solution. Okay. So it feels like maybe there's some things from the past that might be haunting this relationship, and there needs to be some kind of communication. Somebody's harboring a bit of a grudge, I would say. But the way forward is to really work together. This relationship has all the stuff it needs to be really successful. I think just sitting down and talking about it and clearing things up and saying, maybe here's what I'm kind of holding on to that I didn't realize, and working through that issue will kind of clear the clouds away so that this relationship can move forward, and they can maybe spend some more time together and realize like where the problems are. So the next type of reading is maybe I would use when there are specifically communication issues. And we're going to use their Feel Your Chakras as kind of like a speech bubble. So we'll say we're going to do another little check-in. So where's person A right now? And where's person B right now? And then where's the relationship? Same thing. Then we're going to use the Feel Your Chakras to have these two communicate together. So this I might use when there's like a communication breakdown of sorts. So we can see if we're looking at it in a way of communicating, it looks like person A is saying like, I like everything's good. Like, I think it's good. And person B, they need to talk more about emotions and what's going on with the feelings within the relationship. And maybe person A doesn't feel like that conversation needs to happen. The first card I'm going to pull is going to be what person A wants to communicate with person B. Okay. And so here we can see that for person A, I feel like everything is going great, but under the surface, they know that things are not, there are issues that are not being dealt with. And then we'll do the conversation between B and A, and they're saying that they want to talk about it. Maybe it's like, well, everything, like you're saying everything is great, but let's talk about our feelings. Let's tell each other how much we love each other. And maybe it is that blockage of like really expressing how they're feeling. So what's really going on in the relationship? This feels like a new relationship. So what if the relationship were to speak to the couple involved? What would it say? They would say that both people are not coming to the table, fully communicating, fully expressing their feelings. The blocking point in this particular relationship is very much in the emotional body and communicating emotions. Like what's the conversation that they need to have together to really get this back on track? So these are just like almost talking points. So I would say that the talking points would be what the fulfillment and the growth and what's going on in the relationship, but also discussing the relationship, what they don't want, what they can let go from the past or from their own past or their own baggage, and how they can do things differently in the relationship. And like our final card expresses it very well, like they're suppressing their feelings. The conversation needs to be about how can we express our feelings better. So that's just a couple little relationship readings for you to try with the Feel Your Chakras.